GameCube collecting is still hot even after 2 years, and I've actually noticed something different this time around. There's an influx in some of the more rare GameCube titles lately. Does this mean that prices will drop, or is this just the beginning of something even more wild? Welcome to Retronomics, the series that follows price trends in video games, but only the popular ones. Apparently no one loves the Game Gear enough to watch that one. But seriously, here at Retronomics, we take a look at the prices for a handful of games and determine if the prices will go up, down, or stay the same. I get all of my prices from pricecharting.com and eBay sold listings. All of the prices are North American complete in-box copies, and the prices are accurate as of the publishing date of this video. So if you're watching this in the future, let me know how accurate the prices are and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. So let's talk about the GameCube. 2 years ago, video game prices went up seemingly out of nowhere. Obviously, with people in their homes and event venues shut down, people were looking for something to do. And while the pandemic still exists, people are now starting to go out and enjoy themselves. Video game conventions are in full swing as well. So what does that do to the prices? After a brief drop since I made a video about the subject in August, prices are creeping back up, but there's a difference this time. There's actually more games entering the market. So will this affect the prices? Let's find out. When I made the last GameCube video in August, Cubivore was hard to find on eBay, but that seems to have changed. Several sales since the beginning of the year have caused the price to fluctuate wildly. Unfortunately, that does mean that the price is more reflective of what people are going to pay, and it has since doubled in value since August of 2021. You would think that the influx of copies into the market would have caused the price to go lower, but it seems a lot of people wanted this game and were prepared to spend a lot of money or miss out entirely. Given the wide range of prices, it might be a good idea to wait to see if something comes up that you're willing to pay for. Rally Championship is on the rise back up to its peak of $212, which was back in August of 2020, and this actually has lower sales than Cubivore lately, so that might be the driving factor. But it's not like they're selling for $200 only. There are still some available around the current going rate, but the condition will be the deciding factor. I don't see this game dropping any lower than what it is in the immediate future, so I would set an alert and buy it when you see a price and condition that you're comfortable with. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle has jumped significantly in the past month and almost doubled in value since my last video. The bump could be triggered by Sega's Sonic push and seemingly unwillingness to release these on modern platforms. They have attempted to cash in on the Genesis games, but hopefully we can see some re-releases soon. I personally would wait to see if there's a price drop before pulling the trigger. It's dropped before and I think it'll do it again. Ikaruga rose quite a bit in the past couple of months, but not as much as other games on this list. The Switch version is a bit higher but static. Again, I don't think that we'll see a significant jump in price for this game, so if you see a price that you're comfortable with, I suggest buying it now. It's a great game and I think it'll keep its value, especially since the Switch version seems to be a limited physical release. Let me know if I should make a Switch price video. In my last video, I said Mario Kart Double Dash wouldn't be going too wild, and so far it's been pretty consistent since August. It's trending back down, but it is a popular GameCube game with a very unique Mario Kart concept, and as time goes on, it becomes more and more apparent that Nintendo doesn't have any immediate plans to port it to the Nintendo Switch, and even if they do, it probably won't be physical. You could either buy it now or even wait a bit to see if a lower price comes up. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness keeps fluctuating with sales between $150 and $230. It's been this way since at least August of 2021, and I would imagine it would continue to fluctuate as such. This isn't a mainline Pokemon game, and Pokemon Company doesn't really like to re-release games in their original form, so I would consider picking this up now, or at least wait until after June just in case a new Pokemon Coliseum type game is announced, which I don't think will happen. It's interesting to see the sudden influx of rare games into the marketplace. Like Cubivore, Disney Sports Basketball was a fairly uncommon sight on eBay, but now there are several North American copies available. While some don't have manuals, it will be interesting to see how this will affect the price going forward. Most people get this game because of its rarity, and if we see more for sale, this could prompt people to think twice before buying, but I don't think that we'll see the price drop immediately, so keep an eye out and buy one that you feel will be the best value. Beach Bikers Volleyball has been rising in value, but it's not like it's expensive. There are plenty of copies for sale, so you can take your pick on condition. The game's not necessarily popular, so that might drive the price lower as time goes on. So I will still put this in the buy now category. It's not really going to set records for price increases in the future. Geist has been at a reasonable price since I've been making these videos, and I don't think that we'll see a steep drop off, but the price could creep up to $50 and then slowly pass it. There are already some sold listings over $50, but again, they're in better condition. A lot of cheaper options have tons of GameStop labels on them, which can be removed if you have the patience and want to save a couple of dollars. I don't expect this game to go on the Nintendo Switch, so as long as it remains exclusive to the GameCube, it's going to hold its value. Second Sight has pretty much settled into its price point. The current price is only slightly more than what it was last year, with a couple of fluctuations in between. Of course, it boils down to condition. There are a lot of available for less than the current starting price, but no manuals, which seems to be common, so I would buy this now with no regrets. Ultimate Muscle has spikes getting close to $150, but not quite reaching it. We're past the last $150 spike, so keep an eye out and maybe you can snag a deal, assuming that you can find one with a manual. A lot of available listings are missing the manual, which appears to be the trend with a lot of these games lately. Maybe somebody found a box of rentals or something, I don't know. Paper Mario had dropped below $100 complete last year, but only for 3 months. But at least there seems to be a limit to where the price will go. This is another game that Nintendo seems to pretend doesn't exist because of the direction of the current Paper Mario games. Honestly, I would wait until after the June Direct to buy and keep your finger on a copy that you like, because once Nintendo ghosts us again with GameCube re-releases, it'll probably spike up again. F-Zero has pretty much settled, dancing between $70 and $80 depending on the condition that's available. Plenty of copies are up for sale, with a lot of them having open bids, so maybe try your luck and snag a deal. Auctions tend to be more accurate to what the market can tolerate, whereas buy it now can be easily manipulated. I don't think that we'll see a sequel on the Nintendo Switch, so I would keep an eye out for a price that you're comfortable with and buy it when you see it. Super Mario Sunshine is going to remain low as long as GameCube collecting will be a thing. The Switch version pretty much tanked it and then buried it when they added analog GameCube controller support. It's also not the most beloved 3D Mario, but if you somehow haven't bought this game yet and collect for the GameCube, it's still a fun game to have for the platform, and it looks beautiful even today. Eternal Darkness has been locked around $100 for the past couple of months. More copies are being put out with open bidding, so I think that the price will remain consistent for at least the next couple of months. Still, I wouldn't wait too long and see if it's going to drop any lower, because this game is always subject to volatility, and like other M-rated Nintendo games, it seems unlikely that we'll see a port to the Switch. And even then, this is one of those GameCube games that has a lot of unique features that might not translate well on the Switch, so the price might hold even if a port is announced. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snake prices have been rising steadily in the past couple of months, maybe because of the rumors that Konami would revitalize the series and maybe bring Twin Snakes to modern platforms, but don't hold your breath. Since I started following prices for GameCube, that rumor has been swirling. Maybe this year will be the year, but I doubt it. Buy it now or wait. I don't think that we'll see a significant decrease in price in the next few months. Skies of Arcadia is on a downward trend after a minor peak at the end of 2021. Sega is rumored to be remastering this series, but I don't know about that. They haven't really been making the best business decisions lately. Expect the price of this game to remain around its current value for the next couple of months. When I spoke about this game in August, it bottomed out to $160 before rising again to its current state. There are a handful of sold listings for less than that, but the average seems to be between $160 and $200, so I would suggest if you haven't bought this one already, keep an eye out and buy the dip. Super Smash Bros. Melee has risen slightly but not significantly. There are so many copies of this game that most spikes are temporary. Be patient and snag a copy when it drops again, but then again, if you've been watching my videos for the past couple of years, you probably already have this one in your collection. Chibi-Robo has been rising steadily, and at this rate it'll be up there with Disney's Sports and Cubivore. It's still surprising to see this game rise in value even after it's been so long since Scott the Woz last graced us with an appearance. I have this game and I don't think I would ever spend that amount of money, but if you're a collector and you really want this game, buying it now would be a smart option. Otherwise, it would be just cheaper to buy a Japanese GameCube and import the game that way. Luigi's Mansion has risen just a bit since August and actually was its highest it's ever been since price charting started tracking prices, but it is on its way back down. The popularity of the third Luigi's Mansion has died down, and not to sound like a broken record, but we probably won't see a Switch port at the moment, especially since the 3DS port was not too long ago. Probably would be wise to wait it out to see if it'll drop in the next couple of months. Twilight Princess is still overpriced in my opinion. The GameCube version is better than the Wii version according to a lot of people. I personally like them equally, even with the motion controls. Rumors are heating up again that we'll see a compilation on the Nintendo Switch, but I'll believe it when I see it. I guess if you say something often enough, eventually you'll be right. I personally would wait to buy this game until June, and right after that they don't announce it in their direct, I would keep an eye out for a price that you're comfortable with and snag it. Just make sure you don't accidentally buy one with just the case in the game. Def Jam Fight for New York was stable for a while, but now we're seeing a slight rise due to some sold copies going for over $200 earlier in the month. I think that we're seeing collectors who collect specifically for value jump at these mint copies and pay a premium for them. If you're just interested in the game, there are copies available with minor imperfections, but I don't think that we'll see a price drop. It is one of those games that will be forever locked to old platforms unless the crazy licensing of these rappers and the music are sorted out for a re-release. I would consider buying it now, especially as quality copies start to get scarce. Alien Hominid is a game that I didn't expect to get so high in value. In August it was trending down. There is a remake coming out, but there isn't a release date yet, and as such, copies are still hovering around $100 with a couple popping up for less than that. But the condition is suspect, so I would be careful before pulling the trigger, and personally I would wait to see if there's going to be a price drop. The cell shading keeps this game graphically relevant, but remasters of games like this tend to affect the price much more than nostalgia-based titles. Gauntlet Dark Legacy has settled with minor fluctuations over the past couple of months, so I do think that it's safe to say that you can buy this now if you can stomach the price. As I mentioned in my previous video, there are differences between this and the PlayStation 2 version, so unlike Alien Hominid and Def Jam, this might see some spikes as time goes on, but I'd probably buy it now and get it out of the way. Go Hypergrind is an Atlas game, and old Atlas games are expensive. It keeps getting higher as time goes on. The dips appear to be sales where the manual is missing or a loose copy is masquerading as a complete copy with the description buried in the fine print. This game is a true heavy hitter and will hold its value as time goes forward, so I would bite the bullet if you see a copy that fits your budget because it's unlikely to see a re-release. Metal Arm's glitch in the system is hovering around $30 on price charting, but sold prices tell a different story. People have caught on to this game and declared it a hidden gem, and the price has gone up a bit since my last video. Some prices are still reasonable, but it really boils down to condition like the rest of the games on this list. But still, the price of the game isn't too bad if you're looking for something that's inexpensive and good to add to your collection. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance has been over $100 for well before the pandemic, so it's really no surprise that it still is one of the most expensive games for the GameCube. Fire Emblem is a mainstay in Smash Bros., and any game prior to the characters being added to Smash Bros. Weren't mainstream, and they've demanded a high price from here on out. So I don't expect this game to drop in value anytime soon, but it does look like it's not going to spike wildly in the next couple of months. This is one game that would benefit from a re-release. Fire Emblem games sell a ton, and a physical version on the Switch would fly off the shelves. Wario Ware Mega Party didn't take off until recently. I mean, it did rise a little in 2020 and then back down towards the end of the year. Then in 2021 it went crazy, probably due to the announcement of the new WarioWare game for the Nintendo Switch, and now it's just bouncing between $70 and $90. It's currently on an upswing again, so if the price is right, I'd say snag it now. There are a couple on eBay for less than the current price writing rate, but they're missing the manuals, which seems to be a trend for expensive games. Super Mario Strikers is one of my favorite games for the GameCube, even though I don't have a complete copy. The price has climbed super high at the end of 2020 and has since been dancing between $75 and $90. The recent release date of the new Super Mario Strikers for the Nintendo Switch could be generating interest, and given the reception of Mario Golf last year, this might be one to keep an eye on because I have a feeling that if the Switch one doesn't live up to the hype, Mario Strikers for the GameCube will continue to rise. Kao the Kangaroo Round 2 has been a game series that has been flying under the radar before the pandemic. The first game on the Dreamcast went really high at the beginning of 2021, so the other games in the series have been effective as well. Luckily, this game is still affordable on the GameCube, but I don't know for how long, since there is a reboot of the series coming to modern platforms, and if that gains popularity, you might see an increase in price. So I would snag this game now since it's still inexpensive. So there you go, prices are on the rise for some games, but there is more stock than there was before the pandemic started. The heavy hitters will always be heavy hitters, and if there's ever a day where Cubivore is less than $100, I think we probably have more problems to deal with than collecting video games. I guess the question isn't why are we seeing more copies in the market, but who is actually putting these copies in the market? Because like for the past 2 years, Cubivore was pretty rare, and I just think that we're starting to see the people who saw the price increases coming, who scooped up all of these games, are now starting to reap what they sow and are cashing in on these prices. And also a little bit of people who bought into the FOMO and realized that they probably didn't want to spend that much money on games that they didn't really want to spend. But if you're thinking that the prices are going to drop now, I wouldn't hold your breath. There's still a demand for these games, and it's very likely that the people who bought them and are selling them now aren't necessarily in a hurry to get rid of them, so they'll just wait for a person to pay their asking price, which in a lot of cases is still 50 to 70%, or even in rarer cases 200% more than what they initially bought them for. What remains to be seen is where the prices are going to be at the end of the year. I don't think that we'll see a drastic drop, but I think that we'll see prices more or less the same when I make this video in a couple of months. Video game conventions are now open, and also Whatnot, the live streaming auction site, is creating sales that aren't tracked by price charting. And it's not necessarily that those prices will be cheaper, and I've actually been meaning to make a video on Whatnot, but when you have alternatives to eBay and they're not checked by price charting or any other service, then you get a lot more wiggle room on that true demand for these games, and eventually the demand kind of drops off, and so will the prices, and in turn game conventions will follow that market. Just something to ponder. But let me know what you think. Is this the new normal, or is it the calm before the storm? Leave a comment below, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with those who might find it interesting, and if you're new here, consider subscribing for future content. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at snicktendo. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Super Nicktendo, and I'll see you next time.